everyone, I'm Angela. I come from a town from south of Italy. It's like 100,000 people. And it's a place where, you always are with the same people, do the same things, go to the same places. And I think since my early teens, I always felt like I don't belong here. But then, of course, I was 18, I think, when I started really thinking, okay, I need to make some changes. I need to go somewhere, go to a different country. And I realized that my biggest dream was actually to go to England to learn English. But yeah, I was like waiting for the right moment. I didn't have much money. I even remember like working in this cafe, and this American guy came in and ordered an Americano coffee. And I remember like getting my eyes full of tears because I was like, oh, I want to speak English, but I can't right now. And then like I went away for the summer to work as a touristic entertainer. And after that experience, I realized that I didn't want to wait any longer. So I waited for my pay, which was like like a joke. I think like 900 euro for a summer, like for the whole summer. I decided like in 2 weeks' time I booked my flight to go to London, but I didn't know anyone in England. So I had a friend, and she lived in Leeds, in the Yorkshire, like 3 years back. And she had the great idea to call the restaurant where she worked to ask if maybe they had a job for me. So we actually did that together. We were at their house, and she made a phone call. I was like really soaked. I don't know if I would have the gut to, call like a random place that I worked 3 years ago. But she did, and they said, oh, we'll, just let her come and then we will see. And for that answer, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna go and try. So basically I left the 22nd of November. Of course, I remember that date very well. I went to London thinking that I would figure out the way to go to Leeds like on the spot. I didn't know that was going to be a bit tricky because I had to catch like 3 trains. And of course, when you don't know the language and you're in a new country, like I couldn't understand anything. I'm actually still impressed that I made it, to Leeds. I almost missed the connections, but like, at the end I made it. And a memory that I was on the train, and I was like, I wanted a snack, and I tried to pay with 2 pence for my snack, but because I thought it was £2, but yeah, that was then I made it to Leeds. It was late, and then I wanted, of course, to call my family to let them know that I was fine. I tried to use the phone box, and I had this card with all these codes, and I did not succeed. So I was like, oh shit, I was a bit worried because I knew that my parents were going to be worried if I didn't call. Then I went to this shop in the station, and I thought just to ask a guy to help me to find like a cheap place to stay. And that was the day that I learned the word cheap, because I was holding the dictionary and I was pointing to the guy, cheap place. And he said, just wait, and I'll take you there. So I waited for him, and he took me to the hotel literally in front of the station. It was £60. Oh yeah, because also the train ride was £60, and in that moment I thought, oh, okay, if I keep going, at this speed, in 1 week I will have to go home, because I only had £600 with me. And so at that point, of course, I don't know, 600 minus 120. You do the math. Anyway, so I get to this hotel, but of course, I was very tired, but I did not want to just go to sleep. I just, like, okay, I want to make the most of the time. Let's go and maybe find where this restaurant is. Luckily, the hotel staff helped me to make the phone call, and I called my parents, and of course, they knew that I had a job and I had a house there. They did not know, I lied to them. And actually, until today, they don't know the truth. I will eventually tell them, luckily they don't speak English, so they won't find out the truth. So yeah, then the hotel staff also gave me a map. They told me the restaurant is here. Okay, and then I went on the street. I was looking at the map, and this other stranger said, hey, do you need help? And I was like, yeah, actually, I need to go here. And then he offered to walk me there. So we walked together. We arrived in this like a shopping center. And then he said, look, the restaurant is down the escalator. And then I said, thank you. And he went, you're welcome. And at the time, I didn't know you're welcome, like you say that after thank you, I thought you meant like you're welcome in England. And that's very fancy. And actually behind his hand, there was the restaurant right there. So like that kind of magic moment. And so then I went down and I go to this restaurant, and the assistant managers, they spoke Italian. So that was great. But the general manager was not there. So they told me, I'm sorry, but you have to come back in 2 days to find out if there is a job. And of course I was like, man, I don't really want to wait, it's like, it was nerve-wracking. But then, an assistant manager offered to take me for a drink, which I thought it was very nice. It really helped me to, take off the pressure of the trip and, the annoying, because I was worried but also excited. I didn't know what was awaiting for me. And that was my first time in Wetherspoons. I'm sure you all know the place. Then the next day, actually, the restaurant offered to keep my suitcases while I went and looked for a new place to stay, because of course £6 every night, that would have been a bit too much. I found this this hotel half price, so great. Then for 2 days I ate like a little birds, because I was trying, to save as much money as possible, because I didn't know if I had a job or whatever. Then I went back to the restaurant, yes, and when I talked to the general manager, he told me that there was no jobs available. Great. But I met the owner of the place, and also 3 Italian guys working in the kitchen. And they knew that I was looking for a place to stay. There was this other guy, let's call him Joe. He said, I have a room free in my house, so you can come and stay at my place. And I was like, okay, sure. But one of the Italian guy, Omar, he came with me because I could not communicate with the guy. I didn't speak any English. I know my English is not much better now, but anyway, you can understand me at least.
We know.
So then we went to his house, and like the area was pretty dodgy, and to be honest, also his place was not welcoming at all. And in that moment, like we looked at the apartment, and me and Omar, we looked at each other in the eyes, and he was like, "You can come and stay on our couch if you like," because the Italian trio, they were living together. And I said, I'll come tomorrow. I just don't want to be rude. And in fact, that's what I did. I stayed one night and I slept on this mattress on the floor, but that wasn't, the least of the beautiful things that were in the house. So then the next day I went to stay with these Italian guys on their couch. And 3 days later, the owner of the restaurant called me and he said, actually there is a job in the kitchen if you like. And I was like, oh. Until that point, I was 19, I never touched a pan in my life. I never cooked. I know I'm Italian, that's really like really shameful, but yeah. And I was like, yeah, sure. I mean, I didn't want to do that, but I wanted to work, so I said yes. And then he said, you can come on Monday and start working. Then on Sunday, this other guy came from Italy to stay with us in the same house, and he had a very good English, and he offered to help me to find a place for me, a room in a share house. And the same day he made phone calls, we went to see 3 houses, and I actually found the perfect place for me. In a beautiful room in this new house. And I couldn't move in the same day. I just decided, of course, to move 2 days later. Then the next day I went to the restaurant, and luckily for me, a position opened up on the floor, so like as a waitress, which is what I wanted to do. So I didn't have to work in the kitchen. Good. Then basically in 1 week I had a job and a house. The only problem that I had to give all my money in advance for the bond and the rent. So the first month was really rough. I spent Christmas home alone because the only friends I had, they went away. Then for New Year's Eve, I remember I had £20 left, and there was no public transport working. So I had this option to go to the city and spend New Year's Eve with a colleague, but with 20 pounds, I was like, I don't know, if I can really do it between taxi and all the things. And I remember, of course, spending my New Year's Eve watching over, looking through the window, people celebrating, and I was like crying, and I was praying to God to find a friend. That's all I wanted in that moment. I just wanted to find a true friend because I was feeling, of course, very lonely. And 7 days later, my prayer was answered. This girl came into the restaurant, and she was actually from the same region that I am, and we became very good friends. We actually ended up spending a lot of time together, and we went back to Italy together 6 months later. Those 6 months were nothing that I expected. It's not what I imagined. I had a lot of, long time, sad time. I put on weight. I got like acne problem. Like I went through a roller coaster. But at the same time, it's one of the most precious memory that I have, because of course, I could read from that experience. I had a lot of my first times, first time cooking, first time washing, all those things. And so it made me like, it's true. I was like, in Italy, like you get like really, caldo, like your moms take care of you until you leave the house. So if you are 30 and you live with your parents, which the case is I have a brother that's live with my parents, and he's like a 18, let's say 16 years old boy. Yeah, true story in Italy. I mean, South Italy at least. So at the end, I loved the experience because I had to rely on myself a lot, and I became more responsible and independent. And it happened that now, 12 years later, today, we are in November again. Next month, I'm moving back to the UK, but this time London, because that was my dream. And because I realized after many years that first of all, England feels like home. I don't know why there is no place that feels like home like England. Is there any English here? Yeah? Oh yeah, that's right. Well, yeah. And I decided that I want to pursue a career. I want to be a party festival entertainer, and it's something that I denied to myself for many years. But now, I decided I'm going to London. I want to do that. And sometimes we wait for the right time or to have the right resources or to find enough courage, and we think that we have all the time in the world to make changes in our life. But the truth is that we don't know, we don't know when our last moment will be. So we just really need to have the desire, and of course combine desire with action and have a pure intention from your heart, and just do what you truly love. And we should honor this life and ourselves. We need to love ourselves by living a life that truly represents who we are. Thank you.